Real talk, real impact, unfiltered and unapologetic.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. This is Mahvish Akhtar with another episode of FemmeIcon. So today's topic is really heavy. By the way, I want to apologize for the delay. The internet these days, and for those of you who are watching this from outside, it's election week, and our government is really tightening our leash, so to speak, and our internet is being cut down. It's really difficult to it's all over the place. The internet, it cuts off for the whole day, then we have it for a little while, and then it's gone again. And yeah, we have a lot of problems with it. Please do let me know if you can hear me. I feel like I tried it before and this worked, so if there are any problems, let me know. So before we start, I do want to let you know a huge trigger warning. We will be talking about, our topic is suicide, and discussing it with compassion. Just in general in our society, with people who are going through these problems, people that we may know, our loved ones, our family, or friends. Somebody has asked a question. I've been going through problems for quite a long time, and due to which have planned suicide. What do you say? All right. Well, maybe we can talk one-on-one, because this is not the platform. You can DM us and we can discuss it, because I cannot respond on a public forum. So you can DM me or any one of our therapists, and we can talk about it. So so this is a topic that needs to be handled very, very carefully. And if somebody is talking about, committing this kind of act, then it needs to be taken seriously, extremely seriously. And rest assured that this comment will not go unnoticed, because talking about it is not something that, oh yeah, they're just saying it for attention. No, there's no such thing. Of course, we're going to discuss this in detail, and we will. We have team members who are watching out for things like that, and who will contact her, and him, I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll contact this person and make sure that they're okay, and they will get the help that they need. So starting from the beginning, so please keep in mind that this is going to be difficult for those of you who've experienced something like this, who've been through, personally have been through something like this, known someone who's experienced it or has felt this way. A lot of triggers, a lot of PTSD, a lot of traumatic memories will come up. But I don't know your personal situation. I don't know your feelings about it. I would suggest to most of you, watch it. Watch this. Go along with me. Because, of course, don't let yourself get too triggered, too upset. If you know somebody who is going through it right now, and if you have any feelings, as she mentioned, of wanting to commit an act of this sort. Now, I'm not going to mention as much of the trigger words until we get into the main section of the video, because I just want everybody to make the choice of whether they want to enter the video or not. So also for you, eating kids, I guess. Interesting. So also for you, maybe come along and stay here with us. Maybe that will help you. So yeah, watch it, pause it when you need to walk away from it, because we do record it, so you can just, later on watch the rest of it. But do try to complete it. Do try to go through it all the way, because it might help. There might be some things that you haven't heard before. There might be some new information, who knows. So that would be my suggestion. But really do what makes you feel better. And if you have a support system, if you have a therapist or psychologist, psychiatrist that's helping you through this, take their advice, take their suggestion. Right? Okay. So continuing, let's start with, can you see me? Okay, somebody else is, I'm sorry. You can see me, right? Let me know if you can't see me. What does it mean when one says they don't have a will to live? What is will and where does it come from? Why do some of us want to live while others don't? That's actually a very interesting question, and I will go ahead and that is where actually I'm going to start. So now we're diving into our discussion, and I'm going to let you know that I'm not going to hold back on the terms, on the words, and on how I explain them. And so please be ready. Please don't, if you are somebody who gets triggered easily, please be ready that there will be a lot of triggers in this. So actually, I am going to start with defining suicide, right? Because it's important. When we're talking about an issue, we need to define it. But at such time, a person becomes so scared that they just want to not let anyone know about and suicide secretly. All right. Well, these are quite interesting. All of these things that you guys are bringing up. By the way, I just wanted to let you know that we were going to have a special guest, Saida Majid. She couldn't make it because of all the internet issues that we're having. So you just get me. All right. So we're going to start with, we're going to define suicide. What you asked about will to live, and some people wanting to live and some people just not having the will to live. That's where we're going to start. Now, when a person, when you try to commit suicide, or when you're thinking about it, or you get caught, or whatever the scenario is with you, when you're taken to a facility, institute, hospital, ER, whatever it may be, what do they ask you? They ask you, where is it hurting? Where is the pain? Can you identify the pain for me? Oh, they should. That is what they should ask you, right? You know what people answer when they're asked that question? If they are, patients, those kinds of patients who have tried to kill themselves, they will say, they will not give you a spot where they're hurting, even if they've tried to physically hurt themselves. They will not give you a spot, a place where they're hurt. They'll have a story. They'll have some kind of event or some kind of thing that's happened, or they will just be mute and not talk. Because it's not the physical pain. It's not what you were saying, will to live or not having the will to live. It's that. It's either or. So the definition of suicide is just that, right? Wanting to or not wanting to live. So exact definition would be, I have it written down. Somewhere here, I have it written down. Basically, because we had someone just not wanting to, individuals, I Summer. I don't want to say willfully taking one's life or deliberately taking your own life. So you see, it's just a matter of taking that aspect of the willpower to just wanting to continue. It takes less willpower. In your head, it takes less willpower to continue living. And what we're going to do is we're going to explore and find out why that is. And in doing so, we'll answer your question. Both your questions in doing so. There are some things I want to explain about what is suicide and what are the basics, really, the groundwork of it, right? Before we get into the real nitty-gritties, the not so fun parts of it. Now, there's actually a whole area of psychology and even philosophy called suicide is legal in Switzerland. Oh wow, I did not know that. Interesting. Well, I mean, if you're already dead, who would they? I guess if you survive, then it would. Interesting. We'll have to get into that as well. What is actually suicide? That is religiously, we will actually explore that, not in terms of a country's law or what have you, because that really is irrelevant in our conversation because we are talking about mental health. But yeah, that's an interesting little piece of information. I did not know that. We should also do something like that, research on what laws are and why they are the way they are in terms of mental health and how they affect people. That would be a very interesting topic. Yeah, she's not going to be waiting for manslaughter. She's not going to be able to make it. She couldn't. She's having internet problems. Yeah. So you're going to have to settle for me. Sorry, today. We'll schedule with her again. She's definitely going to, we're going to have her next time or the time after. I'm going to schedule with her because, I mean, she, as you guys know, she's quite busy. So we'll try to make something happen with her, inshallah. All right. So Edwin Schneidman came up with a whole part of psychology called suicidology. He was born in 1918, died in 2009, I believe, 2009, yeah, somewhere around there. So you can imagine how much time he spent coming up with this idea, building on this idea. So originally, the reason I like his work and the reason I actually appreciate what he did was because, especially because the point that he started from was, he said suicide shouldn't be a mental illness or a disorder, because that is a real, just a normal thing, normal feeling. It's something that everybody feels. You want to, at some point, you are done with life and you want to move on, whether to the next stage of your life, whether you believe in something or not, but you just want to be done with life. So that is not a completely unheard of kind of thing, or a mental illness or something that's wrong with your brain. That is a natural human emotion, right? So that idea, I really liked the way he put it. That, you know, you're not crazy for thinking that. You're not crazy for wanting, okay, I'm done. This is over. Because we're also taught that, right? We're, as Muslims, are taught, look, there's going to be a time when this life is going to not mean anything, and we're going to want something more. But if we are in the right mindset, if we are thinking sanely and completely, you know, on a level that we should be, we're going to approach it in a different way. And that is the conclusion that he came to, and that is why he came up with this whole different science, suicidology, and then he researched and he worked on it, and of course then it was added into psychology. Okay, you said something. A suicidal person doesn't have the mind to, okay, I don't know the word, someone how they're feeling, they just want to hide somewhere and die silently. Okay, I think I've read this comment already. So how identify a suicidal person? Okay, yeah, we will definitely get to that in just a minute. So I just wanted to explain what is suicidal, what suicide is, how you define suicide. How do you identify a suicidal person? First, before we do that, there's something a little bit more, just a bit more I want to say. Defining how to identify, you can't really look at a person and say, oh, this person is suicidal. That's not really how it works. You just have to take every single person on face value, right? If somebody's talking about killing themselves or wanting to kill themselves or talking about, just idealizing something about death or anything like that, you have to take it seriously. And we'll go over it step by step. But the first thing I want to do, which is extremely important, where somebody over here had mentioned that, you just have to hide and not say anything. That's what I want to discuss, which is the Islamic perspective. What I have seen, heard, read so much is that when someone will try and when something like this happens, whether that person survives or doesn't survive, there's so much negativity. There's so much of, oh, this person's going to hell, this is haram, how could they? Oh. And then the pressure on the family of this person or on them for, when you come out of something like this and you're just feeling like, oh goodness, how could you? And then you feel like you want to die 10 times over because you were like, I survived to face this. So it makes it even worse for you and for the family if that person has not survived, the person you loved and cared for so much. You have guilt of not being able to help them, and then you have the guilt of, and then yeah, I will answer this question in a minute. If someone having suicidal thoughts, how to deal with it. So then you have the guilt of dealing with not being able to help them, which of course you never should have that guilt because it's not always obvious. And then you have the guilt of them maybe not, being wrong or whatever else that you might conclusion that you might come to. And those things are hurtful and absolutely wrong. And that may help in creating more problems than solving them. Now, when we talked about what suicide is and how it comes to be, we're just simply talking about right now suicide itself. What are the causes of it? What makes it happen? It's not just something clicks in your brain and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna just go do this right now, right? There are things that happen. There are problems that contribute to it. There's depression, there's anxiety, there's situations at home, there are other things that are happening in the family. There's, marriages, there's abuse, there's so much that contributes to it, that leads to somebody being so sick of their situation and saying, I can't deal with all of this anymore. Me not being here is better than me being here and going through all of this. Okay, so somebody asked, negativity is all around, making us insecure all the time. Yep, insecurity, that is, because when you feel unsafe, you feel insecure. That's obviously. The only solution is remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding the reality. It's the most important thing. Right. So how to be in your live video. Yeah, so we have to pre-plan the lives, and just, contact us and we'll plan it and see which, what your interests are and what we can talk about. Contact the team and we'll plan something out. Now let's talk about what Islam says about, we'll get to that in just a minute. And I appreciate your question, because that's the next thing we're going to talk about. What are things that happen when you get to suicidal thoughts, and what goes through the mind of a person who is going through it, and how to deal with those issues. Okay, because I want to go through this because it's really important. Your question is really important too, but I really want to, because this happens to people who are going through it, but people who are feeling the things, and they don't get the support that they need from their family and friends, because everybody thinks that, oh, they're doing something haram, they're thinking something haram, they're feeling something haram, and we can't help them. So the ayah that talks about do not kill yourselves is Surah Nisa, ayah 29. It says, and do not kill yourselves. Allah is without a doubt most compassionate to you. And then it continues in ayah 30. It says, whoever does this with the intent of transgression, right? So it continues, and the word is transgression. So, and then intent of transgression. So when you talk about intent, what are you saying? You're talking about somebody who understands, who knows, and who is able to make intentions, who understands, who is completely in control of their actions, of their mind, their body, and their actions. Right? So a person who really wants to not live anymore, the way we are discussing, is a person who's not in control, who's done because they're not able to do the things they want to, or they are, mentally not completely there. So this does not apply to them. And like we talked about, willfully taking one's life. The situation we're talking about comes in a situation where you're actually not doing it. I mean, you're doing it because you're just tired of living, but how does that tiredness come? It comes because you're done. You don't see any other way out. If things change for you, you wouldn't want to do it. This is not a happy solution. And also, when you talk about depression, anxiety, and other mental issues, mental problems, or other mental diagnoses, then you'll see that it's not even something that you can control or you even want or think about. It's just something that comes naturally. It's the next step in all of these processes of mental illness and mental problems that are not good or bad. They just are, that you just go through. That's the next step in all of that. So there's no intent, there's no transgression. It's just things that are happening to you, to your body, to your mind, that a person cannot control. So you're not killing yourself, it's just happening to you. Okay, so that's the explanation here. I'll get to all your questions and all the things that you're talking about, but this is really important to understand. So when a person is suicidal because they're upset, because they have some kind of a mental issue, that's not the same thing as what's being discussed over here. So what is being discussed over here? What do you do? How do you do this? Kill yourself, commit suicide with intent, with the purpose of being completely in your senses, and then, doing something like this, and then ending your life. That would be euthanasia. When you are, when you're very sick and you just say, okay, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I just, just peacefully end my life. It's something like that. That is haram. Those are the things that come into that area, right? That would be, actually, there are many hadiths from the life of the Prophet where there were examples of, because we place a lot of value to being shaheed, to being martyred, right? So that would be discouragement for people to take the short road, where you get very, very ill, very, very wounded in battle, and you just in the end just take your own life, right? That is not allowed. And there are hadiths where the Prophet said that a person who was extremely wounded that just took their lives, and the Prophet said, no, this person is going to hell. It's like, why? Because they fought so valiantly, and and then they passed away. The Prophet said, no, they took their life. They got impatient and they took their life. So that person is not, that is the kind of suicide that's not okay. And then, of course, the suicide bombers and, people like that. So these are a few situations that are considered, actually, that are haram, that are not okay. But when you are in pain and you are suffering, you have a mental problem, or you were running away from your family, or some kind of, abusive relationship, or some situation that you've been put into, and you don't know what else to do, because that kind of, when you are in an abusive situation, for example, your brain chemistry changes, because people will say, okay, fine, you have depression, you have anxiety, you have some schizophrenia or something like that, fine, your brain's not working normally, and you get suicidal, fine, we'll give you that. But this person, okay, fine, you're a victim of DV, but your mind is working fine. So the intent, because your mind is just the way it was before. But no, it changes the chemistry of your brain. It changes the way you think, the way you act, because all of that is coming at you, it changes you completely. So that also counts in the same category of the suicidology, tells us how it changes chemistry. So all of that counts, and I'm not just talking about one, but all kinds of abuse and all kinds of all these things that happen to people. So I don't want to go into too much detail, because I know there's a lot of questions. I'm going to get to those. And I think those questions are just going to be all of the... Okay, so somebody here is saying, as an official is saying, you have to question yourself, will suicide be the only solution to the problem you're facing? Will that solve all problems? Answer them and create a mind map. Yeah, that could work. Again, that would work on a person who has all of their senses, mind, body, everything working as is. But if you're under pressure, your mind's been pushed and shoved, and wires have been moved around, then it would be hard to be so proper and think about every single thing in that way. At that time, it would be just a little bit difficult to think that way. And the answer to this question would just be, yeah, sure, everything would be solved if I wasn't here, right? So let me go back to the questions. A suicidal person doesn't have the mind to... Okay, yeah, so I read that one. Let me go back up. So somebody had said that, okay, so somebody said, I experience those thoughts sometimes. What does it mean when one says they don't have a will to live? Okay, so the will to live, I talked about that. A will to live comes from when you are under a lot of pressure and you're feeling these things. It comes from, usually comes with depression. When you have severe depression, you find yourself not wanting to do anything, not wanting to, life becomes joyless. There's nothing you want to do. You feel like people don't care about you. You don't have anything that you care for, so nothing to live for. And that gradually gets worse and worse and worse. And then you get to not wanting to live at all because there is nothing to live for, and you feel like even if you have people that love you and care about you, you get to the point of nobody cares about me. So yeah, these are not things that you can just get out of through willpower. These are things that you definitely need help with. Now what is the first and for most important, big headline is when somebody actually commits the act, right? We know that big bold commits the act. You see it and you know, oh, this is okay. Then you give them proper treatment. You if they survive it, hopefully you catch them before that. But if that happens, you give them proper treatment. After that, if they survive it, you take care of them. You do what you need to do. Of course, that person is, and we can talk about treatment. Treatments are different. Depends on what got them there. Was it depression? Was it anxiety? Was it some kind of, abuse? What was it? A marriage? Was it like some other pressure that they were feeling? Was it, education? For a lot of young men, it's too much study pressure, too much, oh, you have to grow up and earn and, get married, have a family, a lot of different things. So you have to find the core of the problem and then work your way up from there. Now, the second is people who talk about it, people who tell you. Like the first comment was that if I'm saying I want to, what are you going to do about it? First thing you're going to do is you're going to take it, sit you down, talk about it, take it extremely seriously, make sure there's a watch. Somebody's watching you all the time. And if you feel that you are talking about it, then there are people you can contact. If you are uncomfortable and you feel like, gosh, I talk about this too much, I idealize wanting to not live anymore. I idealize, just, gosh, it would be so great if I just wasn't here anymore. If it weren't for this, I would just, gosh, if I wasn't afraid of so-and-so, or if I wasn't afraid of, my dean, I would have, if you have these thoughts, or whatever else you feel, that stops you, I would have done it, or gosh, that would be so easy. Or if you see something and you think, oh, this would be so easy for me to, stab myself with this or cut myself with. If you have these thoughts, then that, take it seriously, take it very seriously. If you are aware of it, then yeah, talk to someone. I'm right here, and I know that you're talking to me, but let's talk. Let's take this after one-on-one. Definitely talk about it. And there are ways. There are many, many ways. It's not something that we talk about. And if you've ever heard me before in any kind of session or talk or conversation, we always talk about stop therapy, like stop yourself from negative speech, stop yourself from saying certain things, and if you have negative thoughts coming in, stop them, all of that. Not with this kind of talk. Not when it comes to your life. It's not going to work. Don't try it. Get help right away. Call somebody. Whether that somebody is someone you know and care about and you can discuss these things with, or a professional. Whoever you're comfortable with. But definitely try and find a professional, whether it's a hotline, and we can give you numbers for hotlines. I will actually post them right after we're done. Yeah, find someone, talk to them, learn techniques on how to keep yourself safe, and we will have to find a system where you're not alone and you start to get some kind of treatment. Now, treatment doesn't mean medication. It starts with just helping you resolve the situation around you that is causing these thoughts to come. So we will work around that. And don't ever think that if you're saying it, like I said before earlier, that you're just doing it for attention. And even if you think somebody you know or somebody you've heard talking like that, maybe doing it for attention, I would urge you to still take them on face value, please, because you don't want to take that chance. You don't want to be the one who just assumes that they were doing it for, saying it for attention, or just trying to be, you know, trying to sound cool or whatever, and you skip something. You just, that one conversation could have helped somebody, right? So if you are that person who needs to talk to somebody, who needs to call someone, and it may not be every day, it may not be all the time, maybe it's just that moment, that hour that you need someone. We're here, you have the number in our profile, you can DM, you can chat, you can call, we're here to help. And we can also do regular sessions, we can, however you want to manage, but definitely if it's not us, if it's somebody else, wherever you get help, but make sure to get help, because that would be a lifesaver for you. And if you know other people who are, you know, casually, people will not say, oh, hey, let me just sit you down and explain something to you. You will see it in casual conversation, you will just see it coming up, but there is unfortunately no other way. You can catch other signs of other mental health issues, like I'm mentioning, all these things like schizophrenia and other, you know, depression, anxiety, panic attacks. These things are easier to kind of notice, but other things are harder. So if you're, unless you're very, very close to the person, it's a little bit hard. But yeah, if you're close to the person, these are the signs you can pick up on: how they talk, what they're saying about certain things, how they view life, how negative their perspective is. You can help a person think. When I say think positive, I'm really, really afraid to tell people to ask people to tell other people to think positively, because that is not the best idea, you know. But thoughts, negative thoughts can be pushed away, and people can be asked to, like, if you do something and you mess up and you're just like, oh, I'm so stupid, that thought can be pushed away. You can tell yourself, no, I'm not stupid. Why would I say that? I'm not stupid. I just made a mistake. I'm human. What? Why would I say that? No, I will not say that again. I will not say that again to myself. So that you can do, and you should do, because that trains your brain to not have that mindset about ourselves. And we should do that over and over and over again. So we train our brains to think that way about ourselves, right? That we should do. But this should not be confused with a positive attitude where it's like, oh, everything's gonna be fine, you're so negative, just be positive about it. You know, it's okay, these things happen. Not that kind of thing. It's just your internal dialogue, internal monologue with yourself, dialogue with yourself should be a positive one. You should not think negatively about yourself, and that will help you just kind of feel better. It will not fix the problems. Again, it will not fix the problems, but it will help you feel better. So yeah, you can do that for other people. You can do that for yourself. You can do that for other people. But just keep in mind the difference. And I know that that's why I don't like to say to tell this to others, because it can turn into that, oh, be happy kind of talk. But yeah, that's going to be a very important thing to keep in mind, that you, anytime you hear this, take it seriously. Do not risk it into, oh, she's just trying to show off. She's just saying it because she wants attention and all of that. So usually just, you know, make sure to always take it seriously. And again, as far as stopping those thoughts, get help. Just get help. It doesn't, these thoughts of wanting to end your life, and thoughts of wanting to not live anymore, are not things that go away. This is an extremely, extremely serious and difficult thing to deal with. And please don't do it alone. You are not alone. You don't have to be alone. Don't try to do it alone. Now, here's another thing that is important that I think, I know for sure is overlooked, and nobody ever talks about it. Not in Pakistan. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. Self-harm. Pakistan, I know for sure girls, young women, even women my age, harm themselves physically, like they'll cut themselves or just out of habit, like grab a pen or something and just keep stabbing themselves. I know that happens a lot. ये सिर्फ suicidal behavior नहीं है. It's not just related to suicidal ideation. It's also a part of a lot of other health issues, mental health issues, a lot of other ones. But it is also an indicator of not caring for yourself enough to not harm yourself, or just going in that direction. So keep an eye out for that, for your loved ones, and also for yourself. If you are carelessly, whether you're doing it knowingly, on purpose, definitely, that is the direction you're going in. And even if you're doing it carelessly, like a lot of times I've seen people just sitting there talking and not even knowing, and just grab something and they start to, and you have to stop them and say, wait, what are you doing? They're like, oh. And then as time goes by and as things progress with them, you can see that they are suicidal. And so this is their way of, I am worthless, I don't belong in this world, I need to be eliminated. And, they are hurting themselves. So look out for that. You don't always notice it. They don't always do it in a way or in a place that's visible. Because of course, if you're going to hurt yourself, you don't want people to see it. Most of them don't want people to see it and don't want a big deal about it, because of course, what we do is, rather than recognize that this is a problem or that these people are in pain, they're hurting, of course, the pain inside, the emotional pain, is so much that they couldn't contain it inside. Because essentially that's what wanting to kill yourself is. That's what suicide is. That the emotional pain could not be contained inside the body, inside the mind, inside the body. So something had to be done physically. So the first step would be to just physically do something else to distract yourself, something else. So now the arm hurts, the hand hurts, or the leg hurts. So the mind is distracted for just a little while. And then when this pain stops and you start thinking about your problems again, or those problems are right in front of you again, then you hurt yourself again. So just think about it. But what we do is we start to blame the people who are actually already hurting emotionally and physically. Why would you do this? And what is this? And why are you hurting yourself? And look at all this, and look at all the scars on you, and this and that. And we start to really think that this is, how could they? Where is their sense? How could they do this? So they hide that, right? So it's a little bit harder to figure out. And even if we see it, we'll usually just be like, pata nahi kya hai, I'm not going there. But find a safe space when you're alone, when you're comfortable, or find somebody that you know they're comfortable with, they're close to, but get on to just, in a way that they don't feel ashamed or embarrassed. Ask about, ki kya hua, are you okay, chot to nahi lagi, kis tarah hua, in a way that they can open up and they can discuss it. Because you need to be sure. First of all, they shouldn't be harming themselves. Everybody needs to know. I mean, not everybody, but anybody who's close to them needs to know what this is and why it's happening, and that needs to be figured out. And then it's important to know if they are suicidal or not. Because again, that's how you determine. People that you care about, you need to see. Mental health and mental issues are not visible. They're not like flu or like a broken leg where you would see it or it would hurt so much that it would be right in front of you. Mental health issues are kind of, even if they are kind of sort of visible, we have turned them into a negative thing, where rather than explaining them or talking about them or being openly, yeah, I have this right now, I'm feeling this right now, people who have them just kind of go into their shell even more. And we know the reason for it. Somebody even said it, that you want to hide it. You want to quietly do what you want to do, because if you tell people, they'll just get upset with you rather than help you. So it's on the others. It's on the family members, the friends, the colleagues, and elders of the community to pull these things out. If you see a sign, one sign, two signs, try to draw it out rather than just ignore it. You know, if somebody says a word or two that is a little suspicious, don't ignore it. Try to pull more things out. If somebody, you know, says something like, yeah, I don't know, these days I'm just not able to get out of bed, I don't know what's going on. Don't leave that be. Don't assume it's just a phase. Visit them. Go visit them. See how they're living. What does their bedroom look like? What is, you know, state of their home, their family? What is everybody doing? Try to figure out, is it really just they're down? Sometimes you just want to be home, you just want to relax, that's fine. But make sure everything is okay. You know, that is what we need to do. And if somebody says, dude, I feel like I'm depressed these days, don't laugh in their face and be like, you know, everything is just depression. थोड़ी सी भी बस वो आती मुश्किल आती है ना जिंदगी में, and you guys just start saying it's depression. Don't do that. Just let them talk. Just say, why do you think it's depression? Go on, speak. Maybe it's nothing, or maybe it is something. Because sometimes just saying things like that, बस हर चीज में depression लगती है, हर चीज is anxiety, हर चीज is that. Sometimes just that drives people to suicide. Let me just tell you. So yeah, what else can be done? Because there's a lot more. You need to keep in mind how you can help. And if you're the one who needs help, there's many, many ways you can get help. If you're feeling it, you want to do something, call someone. Go to a crowded area. Go meet a friend, I know that this is not something that you would want. Meet a friend, call a friend, go in your living room if you live with people. Just get out of where you are. Change your scenery, start watching a show, something light and fluffy. Get a change of place. But the best thing you can do is call a person that designate somebody, tell somebody you're close to, designate that person, call them, or have a therapist, have a helpline, get familiar with the helpline, call them, have somebody in place. And if you know somebody who's going through it, check in on them. Make sure they know they can call you. Make sure somebody in that household, with their permission, of course, knows or has some information that something is going on, so they stay around them and get them the help they need. Please get them the help they need. No individual who is not professionally trained can handle this situation. Please don't take this lightly. In our culture, it's not taken as seriously as it should be. This is a person's life on the line. This is not a light thing. When we say another person's thinking about it or wants to do it, no, this is not a light little thing where it's like, oh, they might not. kahan se karenge, kahan se pata chalega. No, people are committed. This is not a small thing. You'll find a way. So please take this seriously. And again, if you are somebody who is self-harming, like that, you can actually stop through the negative talk and try to. I mean, again, these are not things that can be controlled by just talking to yourself and trying to, make yourself with willpower. But again, you can try to condition your mind a little bit, try it, and do as much as you can. And then again, call somebody, designate a person when you feel like you want to, or you're just, because it becomes kind of an addiction and you just want to, you have to. So call somebody, get them to help you through that period where you're that upset and that anxious, where you just can't help but want to, so have them help you through it. And I know that this happens, a lot of people are doing it, but not enough people are talking about it. Actually, nobody's talking about it. This because it's so hidden. Most people believe that it's not even happening. Most even healthcare professionals, psychologists or psychiatrists, think that it's not a big problem when it actually is a very big problem. Because young adults won't even tell their therapists and doctors that they're doing this. A lot goes unnoticed, I've seen. So that is what you do. And if somebody's tried and they have come out of it, they've lived through it, don't make it awkward. Talk to them about it openly. That is what they need. That is what they want. They don't want you to avoid the topic unless they tell you, I don't want to talk about it. That is different. They don't want you to avoid it or get awkward or treat them differently or weird. Just talk to them, ask them, discuss it with them, ask them why, and tell them that you love them. Tell them that there are people that are here for them, that care for them. And that open conversation might change their minds about trying it again. Right? If you just get awkward and tiptoe around the topic and not open up about it, then that might not, they might not ever find out that people actually care and want them around. And the belief that they should have succeeded will be solidified. So I hope, let me see, make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I don't think I did. And I hope I answered all the questions that you guys had. I didn't want to make this too long and too heavy because I know that it was already quite heavy. And somebody had a question that they asked twice. I just want to make sure I answered that question. Okay, so this was that question. Okay, so Sania asked, what can we do if we feel suicidal? Call. And then again, it said, I experience such thoughts sometimes. Call. Anytime, day and night. Text, call. We're here. We're always here. And we will put more numbers and information for other places that you can call. What does it mean when one says they don't have a will to live? What is will and where does it come from? Why does some of us want to live while others don't? I hope I answered that question. Everybody is different. It's just human emotions. All right, so again, Sanya said, but at such time, a person becomes so scared that you want to hide. Yeah. Well, fear is a very natural thing, especially the way this issue is treated in our country, anywhere in the world. Nobody really understands the emotions behind it. It's just panic and fear and a lot of shaming and guilting. And I hope I also gave you some understanding of how you can deal with it and why people do that, because there's not enough understanding of in our culture of the differences on enough understanding of the stigma that's attached to it, and what our religion says about it, and what actually is true in that way. And again, you said the suicidal person doesn't have the mind to, really, and that's also accurate. How to identify a suicidal person? You just have to keep a very, very close watch on a person that you feel might be in any kind of, situation. All right, someone is having suicidal thoughts. How to deal with it? I answered it the best I could, because if you are having it yourself, then you, again, get help. If it's somebody else, then tell somebody and get them help, or be there for them and be that person that they get help from. And if there are any other questions or comments, please. Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to ask yourself. We read that one. All right, so there's another question. What about your relations, the parents, the life that is totally a gift? What do you think? Will the Creator be happy? Will you be able to develop barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Okay, so yeah, this is what we were we discussed just now. Delha Ehsan. And then let me just read the next comment really quickly. So there is a difference between a person unaliving themselves due to hardship versus a person who unaliving themselves because they are not in their control. Yeah, so RSKHG, I guess. Yes, there is a difference. There's a difference between a person who just decides to give up knowingly, full mind and body intact, and just says, I don't want to anymore, because they're in pain, or they're hurting, or they're too tired of life, or like I said, Allah promised us Jannah, straight to Jannah, if we are martyrs. But He said, work hard for it, struggle for it, whether it's in everyday life, or it's in the battlefield, or wherever it may be, right? And then you'll get Jannah. But we can't rush through it. Hence the example of suicide bombers and fighting in battle, and you get really sick, and then you get really wounded, and then you're still not dead, but you can't kill yourself because that's what Allah's planned for you. You can't do that. But if you're suicidal because your mind is not completely there, you're mentally ill, or you have some other kind of problem that also alters your brain or makes you feel, because again, I gave the example of domestic violence की जो victims होते हैं, उनके लिए भी they're treated in such a way that their brain changes about how they feel about themselves, how they feel about life. They start to think that they're not worth it, they're completely worthless, they're ready to die every day. When whoever is abusing them comes home, they think they're worth dying for, they're nothing. So them killing themselves is not really a normal person's reaction to life. So yeah, those are completely separate situations. In one, where you are actively killing yourself for gaining some kind of pleasure from Allah or whoever, depending on your religion, of course. In our religion, it's completely haram. Yeah, you're going straight to hell. But if you're doing it not understanding the world anymore, having a fog in your mind, then no, there's no punishment on you. You are actually not well. You are sick. This would be actually considered you being very, very ill and then passing away. That is how it will be seen. And there are studies on it, like long studies. And if you guys want, those of you who are not convinced, I can send you those studies. And what you said, that, being grateful and all of that. It's absolutely true. We need to be grateful. We need to, and alhamdulillah, I know everybody over here is, but that is what needs to be recognized, that these people who are not able to be grateful for things that they do have, and then they end up killing themselves. Here's the thing that's important to note. They're not doing it because they are ungrateful, and they're not doing it because they don't love their family. They're doing it because the wires in their brain, the currents going back and forth in their brains, have been altered. The chemicals are not working as they're supposed to. And so even if they do have all those things, they don't see it or perceive it that way. But it's not their fault. It's not just something that they're like, oh, we have all these things, but we want more. And why don't know? It's not that. It's they feel sad and upset. And some people actually see figures and actually see people that don't exist, that are trying to hurt them, that are trying to hurt their family. And some people telling them, go kill yourself, otherwise I will hurt your family. And I'm not making all these things up. It's actually something that happens. So this is not normal situation where they're just ending everything, right? Not realizing fact and doing it with the intention of, I don't have enough, and I haven't been given everything that I deserved, or I am not grateful. So this is not that situation. That's why I say take this seriously, take this, because these are not people who are grateful, who understand what they have in this life, and who are living normal lives where they understand the completeness of this life, or the incompleteness for that matter, because, it's going to end anyways. So why try to end it before it's going to end? Because it's not lasting, right? So this is a difference that we need to understand in order to be able to help these people without labeling them, without judging them, and without putting too much pressure on ourselves for wanting to save them from, I have to save them so they don't go to hellfire. That shouldn't be our attitude. It should be, they have so much to live for, and if we could help them come out of this fog, or this little veil they have on them, they could live a happier life. So that should be the focus. What is the greatest story of human beings? Do you know? It's to just come back, create an impact, to value others in a way to grow, to stand up and take new challenges and battle warrior. I'm not sure what you mean. Sometimes it definitely happens that we need to see what we can control and what we can't. Well, most things we can control, but when we're ill, right? We can't control when we're sick. Mediation can also be a solution if done in a proper way, yeah. But when we're ill, fever cannot be cured by mediation. You're gonna need some kind of medication, right? So it's the same thing. If you're not feeling well, if you're not well, whether it's your brain or your physical body, you're not gonna be well. It never helps to blame or shame or guilt the person who is not well. You can only help and support, and if you can't do that, then you are no help to anyone. So please research, please read up on it more, and if you need us to help you, give you research and help find more stuff out about how mental illness works, and how what is the function of the brain, and how what happens in a chemical imbalance, and what happens in these psychological issues, we're here to help you out, or anybody else who is skeptical. But just remember that if there is shame involved, if there is guilt involved, you will not ever be able to figure out who is suicidal, who is hurting, who is in pain. And this problem will continue. We will not be able to help anyone. And we don't want that. We want people to live healthy, happy lives. We want a suicide-free, mental health-free society. We want people to be able to come out of this guilt and this shame spiral that we've kept ourselves in for so long. Let's end it now, right? Let's just work on it. So we're here. Call us, text us, email us, DM us anytime you want. Anybody who wants to talk in private, anybody who wants to schedule a session, we are here. You're welcome to do so. You have our numbers, and of course, DM us anytime. If you want to schedule something with me, I'm available as well. But we have wonderful psychologists and therapists and counselors on our team, Saira being one of them. But we will schedule something with her. I'm really sorry that she couldn't be here. She would be wonderful in this. And you can schedule an appointment with her as well. But we will schedule something with her, and we will let you know when that happens. In the meantime, if you want to discuss something else, some other topic in detail, let us know. If you want a particular topic with Saira, let us know that too, in comments or DMs, anywhere, and we will be sure to do that. Okay. Salam, I just wanted to question that, did you explain the etiology behind suicidal ideation that make people to give up completely on life? Yeah, we touched on it a little bit. I just didn't want to, there were a lot of questions that people had about general things, so we just went over that a little bit. We didn't go over what the very, basic etiology of it, because people had different direction. So I just went in that direction, just went on what the audience was looking for. So I did have that planned, but I didn't go in that direction. So maybe in some other session we can go in that, just in that direction, because I think that was more of a probably not for people who wanted quick answers. They wanted to know, like, how do you handle just being talking about it, and if you have thoughts, and if you had, so they wanted practical support. But yeah, someday we'll go in detail, because that's important too. These things are important to talk about. So thank you everybody for your questions, your comments, and maybe I don't know if we know each other, or we're following each other, but maybe you can come on board and we can talk about it so together, or so yeah, let's be kind to each other. Let's try to understand. Everybody has a struggle, and it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody. All right, thank you everybody, and again, sorry for being late. Told you how Pakistan works. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Let us know what topic, what you want to discuss. Any comments, questions in the comments below, and we will be posting helplines and other information right here for you. And I will see you next week. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon. See you later.